What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and we're back, finally reviving the series quest for the best team. This is reminiscent of Team of the Week, which is a series I had in DD1. And we're just focusing on building cool teams. They can be really super strong, meta-defining stuff, or they could just be a lot of fun, or they can be made to emphasize a certain play style. And we'll talk about one of those today. Before we go any further, I want to thank our channel members and YouTube patrons. Y'all are amazing. It's the reason the show keeps running, and you just deserve the best. And you're fantastic, and I hope that your lives are wonderful. And if you want to join any of these things to help support the channel, like YouTube memberships and Patreon, check the link below, or the box below. It has all the links that you need. And make sure you join Discord. I've noticed a drop off and I don't push it as hard in the videos, so join Discord, not only to talk to cool people, like myself, of course. I was giving people information on DD2 this morning. They were asking for team building help. And you can join in on, the other discussions we have, as well as game night, which is a ton of fun. We're getting regularly, 6 to 10 people depending on the game, and it's just been going up, and we all have a great time doing it. So make sure you, again, check that box below. And now let's talk about a team. And so today we're focusing on Aggressor Crusader, and I'll use this opportunity to not only explain how to build a cool team with it, I'll also explain how each character works, and I think specifically with Aggressor, there is a bit of a misconception. So, the thing with Aggressor is that Smite, Reap, and Tenacity change, among other things. Also had this come on. First, we'll talk about the skills that get modified, and then we'll show an example build in terms of loadout. So, for Aggressor, even though the name says Aggressor, he doesn't pick up bonus damage, and that kind of throws people off, because if you look at Wanderer, the Smite gets bonus damage. I think it's the same for Banneret for some reason, because Banneret's supposed to be in the back. But for Aggressor, you get Stress Heal on kill, even more Stress Heal on kill when you upgrade it, as well as it can execute the target while they're burning. Same with Reap in terms of the execute potential with burn, and with the upgraded version you get a stronger healing debuff and a strength token. The healing debuff isn't that impactful yet. I think it will be eventually. The game needs to go through some more iterations and make it so healing debuffs are actually good to throw at an enemy, because right now it's not the best. There are a couple of cases where, it'll do some work, but the major bosses and stuff doesn't do much. You think, oh, Collector, but good luck hitting Collector with this when he's in the back. Nice part is you get 2 strength when you kill something, and then, or if you kill 2 things. And then for the last one, there is Tenacity. This gets modified. Melee skills, you heal if the target's burning. When it's upgraded, you get debuff res, which is actually pretty sick. The base version is just not worth it. 15% is such a minimal amount, and I believe the reason it's 4 turns is because it'll tick down on turn 1. I might be wrong on that, so it's actually effectively 3 turns. So 15% HP is decent, 20% HP decent. You can heal for a lot when you hit 2 targets with Reap, so if you set it up and then spam Reap, this could actually be some solid self-sustain, so it's not that bad. Then you debuff res. The issue is just finding time to loop it in, but we'll talk more about that. So if you want to run Tenacity, you can throw these 2 on, so you get Battle Heal for the helpful, whatever, and Inspiring Cry just because it's another stress heal. Or if you want to skip Tenacity, or even take off some of the other utility, you could run Holy Lance in case he gets thrown into the back, and then Bulwark of Faith because this move is just insane. Absolutely insane. This is one of the best moves on this character, just bar none. So with that in mind, the thing that people often as I was saying before, misinterpret is they think that Aggressor is the DPS path, and it's not, or DPT, whatever you want to say. It's the Execute path, and Execute is becoming a stronger mechanic as time goes on. And Execute 1, debatable on how strong it is. It's nice. Most of the time, if a target's burning and you hit them and they can be executed, they'll just burn to death next turn. But, you know, you get that strength token for the follow-up, so it's actually not that bad. Smite getting Execute 2, though. Execute 1, as I've been saying for ever since the inception, Execute 1 is cool and nice. Execute 2 is when it starts getting crazy, because Execute 2 can go through a lot of bosses, mini bosses, and the like. So Execute 2 is insane. Do not sleep on it. Very good. But now we need to make some friends for Crusader. The first one, surprise or no surprise, it is in fact Bonnie. So for this, we're going to run an Arsonist, and this is just to help the burn piercing go through. While we still have it, hopefully it's gone when the reworks come in, but we're focusing on a frontline Arsonist, and if you notice, Crusader's way slower than Bonnie, so what we're trying to set up here is turn 1, we hit Dragonfly, sets up burn on 2 targets, and then turn 2, we start, you know, chopping. And ideally, when, I should say still turn 1, you start chopping. So ideally, like the end of turn 2, Crusader's executing stuff. And that's been the easiest way I found to make this work. To make sure she stays up front, we're going to hit Ransack. And then after that, it's kind of your choice on what you want to do. Searing Strike, if for some reason you just want a little more single target damage. And that's kind of rare in some cases, but it's there. Smokescreen, obviously, best button on the character, so this should be on every build you have. And for the last skill, Controlled Burn is really good for bosses or anything that gets multiple turns, because it'll keep stacking. And this tooltip is misleading. The initial burn hit, when you set it down and then it burns them for 3 immediately, that gets res piercing. Every turn that they take or they get burned again because they're standing there does not get res piercing. So that's why it's not as strong as you would think on Arsonist, but actually better than you'd think on Survivor. But really, a lot of things work here. You can possibly even run Backdraft, even though it's been nerfed into the frickin' floor. Cauterize is a bit tougher because she has to be in rank 2. You can easily set that up, but again, a little bit tougher to have it when you need it. You know, it's like, might be fighting something in the Tangle and it hits you and it bleeds you, and then you're in rank 1 and then you have to like back up and what is it, set up for next turn to cauterize then. So a little bit tough, and stuff like Hearthlight is getting more interesting as time goes on. So you really do a lot of stuff with this, just no Firefly. That's probably the only thing. But yeah, so Bonnie sets up the big burns and Crusader starts hacking away, and these two go so well together. I ran this quite a few times, and it's a lot of fun, honestly. It's just freaking fun, and that's the main thing we're trying to get at here. For rank 3, we're gonna run Occultist. I don't want to put Occultist onto every team in every video in this series, but you have to understand that this character right now is so flexible in what he can do in terms of debuffs, damage, pretty much those, like controlling stuff. I don't want to say healing because his healing sucks. It's there, but it does indeed kind of suck. And people like to point out the Occultist runaway synergy, but that's like you're spending 2 turns to heal someone, and sometimes it gets value, sometimes it doesn't. But the reason we're running Ritualist is for the debuffs. There's a couple reasons though. Obviously, Vuln Hex gets rid of every single dodge that is on the unit, plus it can get through their block and vuln them. That's a huge hit. Then we have Weakening Curse, which removes crit. Very tough token to get rid of on a lot of enemies if they do get it. And then we get Combo, which this team doesn't really thrive on combo, but you know, again, it's there if you so need to use it. Ritualist boosts reconstruction healing, so there's like the one time it's like passable. You know, it's actually nice that they changed the tooltips on the hero pass, so now you can actually see what this is doing. And 44% to 66 base, that's not bad. That is not bad at all. So you can use this as a almost solo healer, but what I'd recommend if you're going to do this is to get the rabbit trophy or rabbit pet. I was thinking old bumper crop trophy, but you want to get as much max HP on a team as you can when you have Occultist, so the heal threshold is bigger, if that makes sense. And then for your other stuff, just 2 stock damage moves, Artillery and Binding Shadows. These are good pretty much early game, especially because Bonnie and Ray have some trouble killing rank 3 and 4 in the setup. So Artillery kind of helps with that. You can also run Demon's Pull to get rid of corpses and just yank stuff up front. Not bad at all. Late game, you want to switch into Chaotic Offering because Malediction is pretty much your boss killer and it can burn. So it can keep setting up Reynold even though like it's not using someone else's turn, right? So pretty cool stuff. And you can even use Burning Stars if you just want to throw in some damage, but you have to start getting rid of stuff. So it's like the easiest swaps late game are just using this because hopefully your team has enough damage at some point to not need Occultist direct damage. But if you ever do need Burning Stars, you can probably swap out Weakening Curse, which seems like heresy, but the Weaken token and remove strength, remove crit, and all that, fantastic, but not as universally good as the dodge. So if you need some extra damage, you can throw in stars. You don't have to be a Warlock to use Burning Stars. It's really good all the time. And then our final character, and yes, you can run Warlock on this. I wouldn't recommend it though, unless you run a very, very defensive Reynold, but like, he's here to chop things, you know. So if you run him super defensively, that's less time he's spending doing stuff. Like, when I suggest using these, it's pretty much just for emergencies, you know, because you might need that heal. You might need that stress heal. And then our final character was a bit tough to pick out, because there are a few good choices. Vestal, surprisingly a decent choice because of the reach and the extra burn. I'd recommend Wanderer if you're going to do that, so you're not locked into running 2 consecrations. And then you can run Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor's got a lot of synergy between Magnesium Rain and just strong damage over time and healing. But what I'm going to suggest is Dismus. I wanted to put Grave Robber in there, but I know a lot of people like to run these 2 together. So this team includes both of them. And for Dismus, yes, no surprise, we are running Sharp Shot. You can even switch these 2 if you really want to. This is just the first order I picked. And so with Sharp Shot, all your range attacks just get stronger. And so I'd recommend running something akin to this. So Pistol Shot, Point Blank Shot, Grape Shot, and Double Tap all change. And Pistol Shot on this path just hits like a freaking truck. And there's some debate that I've read over, you know, the past couple months, you know, like Pistol Shot or Double Tap. And the rule of thumb is that if you have a lot of scaling on the character, so if Dismus has a strength token and a crit token, then Pistol Shot's better. It's consistently just a bit more damage outside of maybe some like weird rounding numbers, but it's in general, it's really good and it hits rank 4, right? That is one thing Double Tap will never do, at least in this capacity, and that is hit rank 4, and rank 4 is one of the most important targets in this game. And so with that in mind, Double Tap is still amazing. And with Double Tap, if you need to get rid of a lot of tokens, Double Tap gets better. So if they have a lot of defensive tokens, you can get rid of 2 using this, maybe even more depending on what combination they have. And if you have, for instance, weak and blind tokens, you can, you know, knock the first one off and then hopefully have a full damage hit for the second. So it's really that to me, where if you need a lot of damage and the scaling, then it's pistol shot. If you need a lot of utility, it's double tap. And then with grape shot, we have this just to hit both targets in the back. Take aim, really good. Like, this is still pretty much old take aim, just a 1 turn extra cooldown or something. So 2 crit tokens, never bad, right? Everyone likes crit tokens. And then your last choice can be whatever. Like, PBS is just here for the random chance he gets, you know, thrown into 2 or 1 up front, and then you just, you know, blow backwards. But this can be swapped with robbery. This is good for certain encounters. Again, sticky tokens like Riposte and Crit, so Exemplar, and some other bosses. Or tracking shot to make sure no one can frickin' dodge or get some stealth or a while. And so for this team, I'd recommend skipping the Sprawl unless you get Bounty Hunter, because Bonnie's going to kind of struggle there, especially if you want to kill Librarian. So if you can swap her with Bounty Hunter, you know, Ray gets a little bit weaker for, you know, a region, but you have a chance to get some really cool stuff for your runaway. The place this team probably performs the best is the Tangle, just because it's able to get through a lot of that death armor that they tend to use. Burn also does pretty well there, and the back rank characters with artillery and grape shot line up very well against the boss. So that's it for this one. Let me know what you're thinking down below. Let me know if it works for you, what changes you would make, what variations or what other teams you think are cool right now or in the past or in the future, I guess. Let me know what you think about the video, the format, anything like that. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.